Okay, this little episode is dedicated to my friends and fellows that I went to school and grew up with. Um, we all grew up really close. We were all really close knit for the most part. Stoners. Some of us would be considered losers. I really don't buy into that whole thing. We were a bunch of We were a bunch of, or we were considered a bunch of misfits, and now that we're growing older, we seem to be only associating through Facebook, or only a wild occasion when we actually see each other. We exchange a few pleasantries and then we're done. My question is there are some of us, I'm not saying all, I'm saying a very select few, that may not be worth being friends with anymore. And I'm not implying that to any of my friends. If I feel you're not worth the time, I just delete you off of Facebook, or block you, or unfriend you. What worries me is the fact that we were supposed to grow up. And there are certain people, and I'm not saying any names, certain people have not really grown up. Yes, they had kids. Their bodies matured so they could, have fun as an adult, have adult fun, and then have to take care of the consequences 9 months later. And they have successfully done so. That notwithstanding, they didn't do anything to improve themselves. Some of those people are still in the same bad relationship, or in the same style of bad relationship, and have been in nothing but those kind of relationships since high school. And yet a lot of people are in school, or have been to school, myself included. I went to college for a very short time. I decided school was not for me. I stuck out all through high school. I got my diploma and started working right after I got my diploma. So I don't have to worry about schooling. Most of the useful junk I learned after I got out of school, not before. But there's quite a few people I've noticed that do not have their life. 15 years later, they do not have their life together at all. Complaining about bad relationships seems to be a self-predicating loop. And you just keep going around and around and around. I mean, if you don't want your relationships to be the same, don't go after the same guys, period. And for those of you who grew up with this old school mentality of you need to be wooed and all these other things, you want your life to be like Leave It to Beaver or the Patty Duke Show or something like that. Life isn't like that anymore. Do you live in a nice house? Do you? I mean, honestly, a lot of the people I know can't say that. They rent. And back then you didn't necessarily pay rent for more than a few years. You bought the house. That being said, okay, now you've got kids. Quite a few of them, or you, have teenage kids. What alarms me is that they've had to go through this cycle of years and years of you being in bad relationships, or whoever being in bad relationships, and seeing that. Is that progressive for the kid? Or, if you think about it another way, are you showing that kid that being in that kind of relationship is what they should aim for? Now, I realize I'm probably going to get some haters, and I don't care. I'm just pointing out the simple fact. I was in bad relationships for the longest time. I mean, bad relationships seemed to be my milieu. Honestly, they seemed to be my thing. I was into fixing the women that I was with, and I enjoyed doing it. And then, like, my relationship with one of my exes went on twice as long as it should have. And I can guarantee you there's at least 2 or 3 of my exes who I was with 3 times longer than I needed to be. But I was stupid. I let that little screwed up little circle, I let it ruin my life. I allowed it to ruin my life. I was stupid. I thought certain things were a certain way, and I have since learned in my 30s that that's not the way to do it. I really enjoy my life now. My house may not be the cleanest, but we live a very boring life. And I'm not saying that boring's for everybody. Some of you are thrill seekers. You know, some of you smoke. Some of you probably smoke pot. I'm not going to indict anybody for it. Not my business. None of my business. What I'd like to know is who has really elevated themselves, who has put themselves in a position to get better in life. I've had that opportunity several times, and I've come back down to the feeding trough with the rest of the pigs. So you can't. I'm not saying that I'm better than anybody by a long shot. I've been at the top of the mountain and fell all the way to the bottom. I've already done it, so I'm not hanging it on anybody. But if you're not intrapersonally evolving, I think there's a problem. I think ultimately you are afraid of evolving past it. Like, for me, my relationship with my fiance right now, it's a very good relationship. We really haven't fought at all, and it's been almost a year. And for all those of you who are saying, "Well, just wait for it, it's gonna happen," you're gonna have the argument. Well, we haven't had a really huge argument, so that's a moot point. When it happens, it happens. But we try not to get on each other's nerves. We both have this obsession. We both have an OCD thing with cleaning, which we do. But we also have other interests and plans, and so we work on those plans. Now, I would like to know who amongst the people I know, or hell, even the people I don't know, how many of you have actually embraced intrapersonal evolution and moved past the point of being stagnant? Now, stagnant is where you're doing the same thing you did in high school. I mean, you've got kids, you've got a broken down house or a broken down relationship, your ex lives with you, which is not healthy, by the way. Even if you have kids with that ex, it's not a healthy thing. And no, I'm not just implying that women have men living with them. Men can have women living with them who are exes, just because. It's not a healthy thing anyway. If the relationship in the first place wasn't healthy, and that's why you broke up, guess what? It's still not healthy. Okay, well, I'm going to get off this soapbox. I'd love to hear some opinions back. If you feel like hating, go ahead. Hate all you want. I don't care. This is an open forum style thing, so I look forward to hearing from at least somebody. And if it sounds long-winded, that's because I tend to be, but then again, I'm the one putting this out. So if it gets you a venue to cuss at me and rant to me about how my life seems perfect, go ahead, I don't care. My life's not perfect. But at least I'm here, and I'm in your face.